So we're in Clovis, California, and we just finished installing a new closet flange. One side was broken off over here on the right, and we couldn't get it repaired, so we just got a new flange and glued it in there. We don't like to just leave it, you know, just glued in. Code is you're supposed to anchor to the floor, and normally that happens at you know, when you're working on the home, you know, before finish goes in, before tile goes in, you glue it in, or you can do it when you're pouring concrete. You put brass bolts in there and you pour concrete in, and those brass bolts help anchor it into the ground, as well as the glue, so that the flange doesn't lift upward while you're tightening the toilet bowl down. So afterwards, the only way really to repair it, I mean, the best way to repair it is you demo the tile, you know, jackhammer the floor, and hopefully when you're jackhammering the floor, it doesn't pop the tiles and crack the other tiles, but you jackhammer it up, you cut the waste, you cut the whole thing out, the damaged flange, the closet bend, everything. I mean, this is pretty deep, but they glued an inside-out flange in there. It glues inside pipe instead of over pipe. But you know, you could certainly jackhammer down and cut the top off, put a coupling on, and glue another flange on, and then put bolts in, and of course cement it back in, and then hopefully that holds as well. So we didn't want to go to that extent. All we did was come in, glue a flange in, and then put these Tapcon anchor bolts in. There's 8 of them. There's only 6 screws, 6 holes in the flange, but we put a couple extra right close to the toilet, where the toilet bolts are, because we want that to stay down. When you start tightening down against these bolts, you don't want this pulling up, which means the flange starts pulling up. So it's glued in, and the glue's been setting for a while, so I think that's in pretty good shape. We just had a real tough time drilling out. Concrete's 10 years old, so you always have a hard time drilling into it and getting the Tapcon anchors in there and getting them to stay and not spin or break off. So and then we used some washers there just to make sure they didn't go through the bolt holes. But anyway, so that's anchored down. I want to get a document of that before I set the toilet. We're going to get a wax ring on there, set the toilet. Hopefully we won't have to shim it or over tighten it too much. I'd like to just set this real gently and then just treat this real nice, and then when I get done, we'll take another video. So we're still here in Clovis, California, and we got the toilet set finally. We've been here a while, and there's a lot more work than what we anticipated, but it feels pretty tight. We did put a few shims in. The tile is uneven. We knew that before we pulled it out because we had the bolts out and it was rocking back and forth. But on this side, you can see, you know, it hits. Well, that tile in the back is higher, so we have a shim here, and then we've got a shim right there, and then a shim right here, and then you can see it kind of dies off, and right there you can see the toilet is on the ground, and it stays on the ground, you know, all the way around. This side you can see, you know, maybe a little bit drops off there, but it's too small of a gap to get a shim in. But then it's this tile right here. And it's hard to tell unless you're sitting right here looking at it, but this tile, where's my finger? Okay, that one is higher, and you can see it right at this joint right here. So this tile drops down, this one drops up. So it just picks the back of the toilet up. And no big deal. I mean, it's mounted, it's in there solid. And you can see as you continue around the toilet, it's down on the ground. So